Today I'm sharing 10 of those tips and tricks, and these are the things that I have been focusing on so far. I'm definitely learning a lot more, so come September or October, I may have 10 more things that we need to look at, but these are the basics, and these are what I'm focusing on right now. So we all know that we need to be drinking electrolytes and making sure that we get enough sodium and minerals in our bodies to keep our bodies in balance when we are fasting. So today I am trying a new way of getting my electrolytes, and that is I'm finally venturing into the world of Element. And if you have not tried this, today is my first time. I've been intermittent fasting, and I was completely opposed to buying anything that was going to be a powder or a drink. I wanted to really just try to get all that my body needed and to practice intermittent fasting without spending a lot of money on extra things. However, I have seen the benefit to having a few things sometimes when I'm not at home and when I'm on the go, to make things a little bit easier to stay on track. So Element, I think, could be one of those things that I might splurge on a little bit for when I'm on the go. And today I have ordered the variety pack just to kind of get an idea of the taste of the different flavors that are offered. Today I just randomly chose the raspberry salt, and I have mixed mine in with sparkling water, and I wanted to see how that tastes. It's probably going to be very similar to a soda, I would think, but I am tasting it on camera for the first time. Wow. Okay. I think I could have used less powder or more water, but that is a very nice treat to have during my eating window. It is, it does have 10 calories per little stick, but these are sweetened with stevia. I'm not a big fan of sweetener replacements, but this is one that I will make an exception for on occasion. There are definitely other ways that you can get your electrolytes. There are a lot of other brands. I've just heard a lot of really good things about Element, and if you're curious about this, I'll put a link in the description below where you can find it on Amazon. They do have their own website as well if you want to order from there. I think the prices are about the same. So there you have it. In today's video, I am going over just some of the things that I have found to be my top tips and tricks that kind of keep me going with intermittent fasting, and I wanted to share those with you. Hey friends, if you are new here, my name is Hope, and this channel is about sharing my journey where I am simplifying my life and my health, and mainly doing that through focusing on intermittent fasting. I'm trying lots of experiments and learning new things. My hope is that in sharing my journey, I'll encourage you to come along and enjoy some of the benefits as well. The number one tip for me, and the number one thing I have to keep thinking about, is to keep fasting clean. And that means that during the fasting window, you should not be consuming any calories. There's plenty of debate about how many calories you can consume without it throwing your body out of a fasting state. I know that I have pushed those limits definitely more than I should. My struggle is to really try to keep that clean and to not have a 5-calorie or a 10-calorie snack or something to tide me over, because it always turns into a whole lot more than just the 5 or 10 calories. I'm committing myself to black coffee. I do have mine with salt. If you're accustomed to drinking your coffee with creamer and sugar, then address one of those at a time. Try to maybe cut out the sugar first by reducing it little by little, and then get to the point where you start to reduce the creamer little by little. If you want to just dive into black coffee, then adding a pinch of salt to a cup of black coffee does help to I take away a little bit of the bitterness and makes it taste a little bit smoother. Plus, you're always going to need extra salt while you're fasting. You also can have unsweetened teas. Preferably, that should not be like fruity teas or teas with lots of built-in flavors. So black tea, green tea, just unsweetened and no extra flavor to it. Tip number 2 is to choose nutrient-dense foods. I've talked about this in other videos, but here's the thing. When we are restricting the window that we're eating in, we're most likely going to be consuming less calories. You need to really make those calories count by choosing the foods that pack the most nutrients. Obviously, really good meat, really good vegetables, and things that have really good healthy fats. Tip number 3 is to drink plenty of water. It really is amazing when you're in your fasting window how when you feel the hunger pains coming on, if you'll just focus on drinking water, a lot of times it will make things subside. We're actually more dehydrated than we are hungry. Focusing on drinking a glass of water, setting aside the temptation to eat, will often just take care of the issue. The tip number 4 is to break your fast with a protein and preferably with a nice healthy fat with that. So that could be a meat, cheese, something that's going to pack a punch. Sometimes people who break their fast with carbs will find that it causes lightheadedness, and that usually has a lot to do with your blood sugar and your insulin levels peaking and reacting kind of wonky to a surge in the glucose that's being introduced into your body. So the best way to avoid this is to address it with protein first and let your body take on those calories, but in a way that's going to not spike your blood sugar level. Tip number 5, again, is electrolytes. Making sure that you are focusing on getting the minerals, especially sodium, magnesium, and potassium. And those are the main ingredients that are in Element and other electrolyte replacements. Obviously, you don't have to buy Element. You can make your own at home. I do a homemade version in my kitchen that we drink during the day, but it is also nice sometimes to have something that's convenient, like a little packet that's in your purse when you're out and you're starting to feel like your electrolytes are a little out of balance. If you have something on hand in your purse that you can just pop into a bottle of water, it will go a long ways in making it possible for you to maintain that fasting window. Tip number 6, and this is one that's been really kind of surprising to me. I've always been a snacker at the computer, but I found that I don't have to have that. And if I just focus on staying busy during my fasting window, it makes the time go by so fast. So doing things like working on a project at the computer, working on a project outdoors, especially in the mornings, really goes a long ways in helping me to just be distracted and not to be thinking about food yet. Tip number 7, and this is one that I definitely need to keep in front of me, and that is to practice planning ahead. It's easy to get yourself in a situation where you feel like you've got to eat something now, or you're going to spend money on drinks or things out in public when you don't have something with you. So if you make a practice of packing a lunch when you are headed to work, or preparing food ahead of time so that you know when you do break your fast, you have something ready quickly and you're not going to sacrifice the quality of food just because you're hungry. Really make that fasting window count. And when your eating window opens, be ready to continue to treat your body well. Tip number 8 is kind of along the lines of the planning ahead, and that is to do menu planning. It really helps a lot when you have a meal plan set out for the week, especially if you're mainly doing one meal a day. Then first of all, that's a lot easier to do than to plan 3 meals a day. But if you're planning one meal a day, you know what you have coming up in the evening or whenever your window opens for eating. When you know what you're going to have and it's something that you enjoy, it makes the fasting a little bit easier. Tip number 9 is to choose quality meats. Quality being the best that you can afford. It doesn't mean that everything that you purchase has to be grass-fed, pasture-raised, or whatever. Um, do the best you can with the budget that you have, and sometimes that's going to be ground beef and hot dogs, but choose meats that have more fat in them when you have a choice. The fat is going to satisfy your hunger, and it's going to make you stay satisfied for longer. And then tip number 10 is to just start. None of us are ever going to be 100% completely prepared for anything. So this is never going to be the case when it comes to intermittent fasting either. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to make choices that are not the absolute best for our bodies. And we're constantly learning and trying new things. So new ways of eating or different ways of eating inside your eating window are going to continue to evolve the more we learn to pay attention to our bodies and we learn to recognize how food makes us feel. We're just going to continue to adjust that. But in the beginning, just start. Set your fasting window, stick to it, and set your eating window for a time that is convenient for you and eat the food that you have right now. Don't worry about measuring and keeping track of everything. Just start with your focus on the fasting window and then allow your body over time to choose what those things are going to be that are going to make you feel the best during your eating window. So, who doesn't love a list of tips and tricks? I know I do. And often a cheat sheet is a nice way to jump into something. If you are interested in intermittent fasting and you just haven't taken the leap and you're not really sure, I have a simple guide that pulls together some of the main ideas about what intermittent fasting is, how to do it very briefly and simply. If you would like to have a copy of that, just check the description below. There's a link to that, and I'll be happy to send that to you. It is completely free, and it's in a PDF form, so you can print it out, or you can just keep it on your phone for reference. So that's it, guys. That's all I have for you today. Until we meet on the next video, happy fasting.